First, system overview. The 6 Nen types. Before dissecting the individual categories, we must establish the framework. Introduced fully during the Heaven's Arena arc, roughly 50 chapters into the manga, Nen is the manipulation of life energy. While every living being emits aura, only those whose shoko or aura nodes are open can control it. The specific classification of a user's aura is determined by the Water Divination test, a ritual where a user projects energy into a glass of water floating a leaf. The reaction of the water determines one of 6 distinct categories. This system is rigid. While a user can learn adjacent types, they will only ever achieve 100% mastery and efficiency in their natural affinity. This creates a tactical rock-paper-scissors dynamic that defines every battle in Hunter x Hunter. We begin with the most physically dominant category. Second, type, enhancement. Enhancement is the first and most straightforward of the 6 types. In the Water Divination test, an enhancer causes the water volume to overflow. This type allows the user to strengthen the natural abilities of their own body or objects they hold. Enhancers are balanced, simple, and honest, often prioritizing raw power over complex trickery. It sits at the top of the Nen chart, boasting 80% compatibility with both transmutation and emission. First form, Gon Freecss. The primary example of enhancement is the series protagonist Gon Freecss. While Gon awakens his Nen during the Heaven's Arena arc under the tutelage of Wing, his true mastery as an enhancer flourishes during the Greed Island arc under Biscuit Kruger. Gon's signature ability, Jajanken, is a direct application of enhancement mechanics. He focuses a massive amount of aura into his fist, using the fundamental technique KO to deliver a devastating physical strike known as Rock. Gon's journey with enhancement is defined by his refusal to rely on tricks. In the Chimera Ant arc, this straightforward approach reaches a terrifying zenith. Following the psychological break caused by the death of Kite, Gon utilizes a vow and restriction, a mechanic where a user sacrifices something to gain immense power. Gon sacrifices his future, his potential, and his ability to ever use Nen again to forcibly age his body to its peak physical prime. This form, often called Adult Gon, is the ultimate manifestation of enhancement. He does not gain a new magical power. He simply enhances his body's maturity and muscle mass to a point where he can physically crush a Royal Guard member, Neferpitu, with bare hands. The aftermath is catastrophic. Gon is left as a withered husk, requiring the reality-warping power of a calamity from the Dark Continent to heal. Second form, Isaac Netero. While Gon represents raw potential, Isaac Netero represents technical perfection. Introduced early as the chairman of the Hunter Association, his true enhancement capability is revealed in the final battles of the Chimera Ant arc. Netero spent years in the mountains performing 10,000 punches of gratitude daily. This repetition moved him past the limits of the body. His ability, the 100-type Guanyin Bodhisattva, is a hybrid, but the speed of his prayer motion is pure enhancement. Netero enhances his hand speed to surpass the speed of sound. By the time his opponent registers the movement, the attack has already landed. This allows him to hold off Meruem, the strongest entity in the series, by simply being faster than the King Synapses can fire. Third form, Uvogin. The late Uvogin of the Phantom Troop serves as the baseline for raw enhancer destruction. Appearing in the York New City arc, Uvogin's philosophy is simple. He wants to throw a punch as strong as a nuclear warhead. His Big Bang impact is technically just a punch infused with Ko, but his mastery allows him to crater landscapes and shatter bedrock. His battle with Kurapika demonstrates the weakness of pure enhancement. Because Uvogin relies entirely on physical defense, he becomes vulnerable when faced with an opponent who uses esoteric rules and binding chains rather than brute force. Uvogin dies because he cannot punch his way out of a metaphysical cage. Third, type, transmutation. Transmutation allows the user to change the quality or properties of their aura to mimic something else. In the Water Divination test, a transmuter changes the taste of the water, often making it sweet. Crucially, transmuters do not create real substances. They make their aura act like a substance. A transmuter mimicking fire isn't creating real fire. They are giving their aura the properties of heat and combustion. This type appears extensively throughout the series, often favored by fickle or deceitful characters. First form, Killua Zoldyck. Killua Zoldyck is the archetypal transmuter. His ability manifests late in the Greed Island arc but reaches maturity in the Chimera Ant arc. Killua transmutes his aura into electricity. This is only possible because of his tragic backstory. Years of torture via electric shock gave him a fundamental understanding of how electricity feels and behaves, allowing him to replicate it without burning himself out. Killua's Godspeed, Kanmuru, is the pinnacle of this style. He programs his aura to send electrical signals directly to his muscles, bypassing his brain's nervous system. This allows him to react automatically to hostility with superhuman speed. During the palace invasion, he uses this to humiliate the royal guard Yuppie, as Yuppie physically cannot move fast enough to hit him. However, the limitation is capacity. Killua must physically recharge by plugging himself into electrical outlets, acting like a living battery. Second form, Hisoka Morrow. Hisoka serves as the recurring chaos agent of the series. His ability, Bungee Gum, possesses the properties of both rubber and gum. He can stretch it, stick it, snap it back, and contract it. It is visually invisible to non-Nen users, unless he uses In to hide it from Nen users too. Hisoka uses this for psychological warfare. In the Heavens Arena fight against Castro, he uses the gum to manipulate severed limbs and cards to create illusions. In the Succession War arcs of the manga, following a deathmatch with Chrollo, Hisoka actually dies. However, he commands his Nen to activate after death, a phenomenon known as Post-Mortem Nen. The Bungee Gum contracts, pumping his heart and lungs manually, resurrecting him. This incident changes him from a battle-seeking hedonist to a pragmatic exterminator, as he begins hunting the Phantom Troop in earnest. Third form, Machi Komacine. Machi, a founding member of the Phantom Troop, transmutes her aura into threads. These threads can be as soft as cotton for sewing or as sharp as wire for decapitation. Unlike creating a real string, her aura threads are nearly invisible and their strength correlates to their length. Shorter threads can support tons of weight. She serves as the group's medic, using the threads to reconnect severed nerves and muscles instantly, a feat she performs on Hisoka early in the Heavens Arena arc. Fourth, type. Emission allows the user to detach their aura from their body and maintain its power over long distances. In the Water Divination test, an emitter changes the color of the water. Usually, aura fades rapidly once it leaves the body. But emitters can sustain constructs, projectiles, and remote effects miles away. This type is essential for range control and surveillance. First form, Leorio Paradinight. Leorio is the late bloomer of the main cast. While he learns the basics early, his specific Hatsu ability is not revealed until the election arc near the end of the anime adaptation. Leorio develops an ability often called Remote Punch. He strikes a surface and his aura travels through the ground or object to emerge as an uppercut at a distant target. He uses this famously to punch Freecss, Gon's father, in the face during a crowded auditorium meeting. While primarily a combat ability, Leorio, a medical student, developed it for surgery, intending to use the emitted pulses to destroy tumors or clots inside a patient's body without cutting the skin. This highlights how emission can be used for precision phasing rather than just energy blasts. Second form, Razor. Razor is a game master of Greed Island and a former death row convict. He represents the high output potential of emission. He commands the 14 Devils, which are aura constructs that act as independent players in a dodgeball game. This requires splitting his focus and aura 14 ways while maintaining high power in each. During the dodgeball match against Gon, Killua, and Hisoka, Razor demonstrates the ability to curve, stop, and redirect emitted aura balls with lethal force strong enough to explode a human head. His presence confirms that emitters are not just snipers. They are artillery units capable of overwhelming destruction through pure volume of aura. Third form, Meruem. The Chimera Ant King, Meruem, is technically a specialist by birthright, but his most terrifying sensory ability is an application of emission. Following his absorption of his Royal Guard Poof's cells, Meruem develops Photon. He turns his N, field of awareness, into microscopic particles of light. He emits these photons across a massive area. If a photon touches anything, Meruem instantly knows the object's shape, quality, and emotion. He essentially teleports his consciousness into millions of emitted particles, granting him omniscience within his range. This ability broke the power scaling of the series, as no character could hide from him during the final moments of the arc. 5th type, Conjuration. Conjuration allows the user to create physical independent objects out of aura. In the Water Divination test, impurities or sediments appear in the water. Unlike transmutation, which mimics properties, conjuration creates reality. The object is real, can be seen by normal humans, unless hidden within, and possesses physical mass. The key to conjuration is conditions. A user cannot just conjure a sword that cuts anything. That is impossible. However, if they conjure a sword that can only cut a specific enemy, the limitation makes the blade exponentially sharper. First form, Kurapika. Kurapika is the definitive conjurer. Driven by the genocide of his people, the Kurta clan, he crafts a set of chains to hunt the perpetrators, the Phantom Troop. He appears as a main protagonist from the start, but his conjuration mastery dominates the York New City arc. He conjures 5 chains, 1 for each finger. The most vital is Chain Jail on his middle finger. It wraps around a target and forces them into a state of Zetsu, shutting off their aura. However, Kurapika placed a vow on this chain. He can only use it on the Phantom Troop. If he uses it on anyone else, a blade wrapped around his own heart will kill him instantly. This supreme risk creates a chain so strong that Uvogin, a master enhancer, could not break it. Kurapika also conjures Holy Chain, Healing, and Dowsing Chain, location lie detection, showing the versatility of the class. Second form, Kite. Kite, a student of Ging Freecss, appears in the Chimera Ant arc. His ability, Crazy Slots, is a conjured clown-headed roulette mechanism. It randomly selects a number from 1 to 9, and Kite is forced to use the weapon corresponding to that number. He cannot re-roll, and the weapon will not vanish until he uses it. This annoyance is a strict condition. By giving up the choice of his weapon, the resulting weapons are far stronger than normal. His Scythe, number 2, creates a localized slashing field that wipes out entire squads of enemies. Kite is killed by Neferpito, but it is heavily implied that a specific number on his crazy slots, possibly number 3, has a reincarnation or survival contingency, which leads to his rebirth as a Chimera Ant later in the story. Third form, Neon Nostrade. Neon is a unique case introduced in York New City. She is a genius user who developed Nen unconsciously without training. She conjures Lovely Ghostwriter, a small green creature that possesses her hand. She writes fortune-telling poems that are 100% accurate. She does not know what she writes as she enters a trance state. Her ability becomes the central conflict of the arc, as the Mafia relies on her to predict the future. Chrollo Lucilfer eventually targets her to steal this ability, proving that conjuration can produce abstract effects, information, just as easily as physical weapons. 6th type, Manipulation. Manipulation allows the user to control living or non-living things. In the Water Divination test, the leaf floating on the water moves. While simple in concept, this type produces some of the most terrifying implications in the series. The removal of free will. Manipulators often treat people as objects and objects as soldiers. The rule of thumb in Nen combat is first come, first served. You cannot manipulate someone who is already being manipulated by another user. First form, Morrow Macarnazy. Morel appears in the Chimera Ant arc as a seasoned pro hunter. He wields a giant pipe and is a master of Deep Purple, an ability where he manipulates smoke. Unlike a transmuter who might turn aura into smoke, Morel uses his pipe to produce a smoke core and then manipulates that smoke into solid constructs. He represents the strategic peak of manipulation. He does not control people, he controls the environment. He creates smoke troopers that can act independently, smoke ropes that are unbreakable, and barriers that cut off oxygen. His battle against the Royal Guard Shiapoof is a masterclass in psychological warfare. Despite having less than 40% of his power remaining due to fatigue, Morrow uses his smoke puppets to trick the enemy into thinking he is everywhere at once, proving that a manipulator's greatest weapon is often deception rather than force. Second form, Illumi Zoldyck. Killua's older brother, Illumi, embodies the darker side of manipulation. Introduced in the Hunter exam, he uses special needles infused with aura. If he sticks a needle into a civilian, they become a needle person. A mindless zombie that follows his orders until they die from overexertion. Illumi also manipulates his own body structure, using needles to shift his bone placement and facial features for disguises, allowing him to infiltrate the Phantom Troop for years. His most insidious manipulation, however, was placing a needle in Killua's brain. This needle did not control Killua's movements like a puppet, but manipulated his emotions, forcing him to feel paralyzing fear whenever he faced a stronger opponent. This ensured Killua would always run away and survive, twisting a brotherly protection into a cage of psychological control. Third form, Shalnark. A cheery member of the Phantom Troop, Shalnark treats manipulation like a video game. His ability, Black Voice, uses a bat-shaped antenna and a cell phone. If he sticks the antenna into a target, he gains total control over them via his phone keypad. Shalnark demonstrates the autopilot function, a rare instance of self-manipulation. If cornered, he sticks the antenna into himself. He gives a command to his aura, e.g., kill the enemy. And his body enters a trance state, moving with immense, unconscious power until the task is done. This power comes at a cost. He retains no memory of the fight and suffers intense muscle pain for days. Shalnark meets his end when Hisoka, hunting the troop without their abilities, catches him off guard and kills him, leaving his corpse tied to a swing set. Seventh, type, Specialization. Specialization is the outlier. It includes any ability that does not fit into the other 5 categories. In the Water Divination test, the result is completely unique. The leaf might wither, the water might boil, or something entirely visual happens. Specialists are often born, not made, though manipulators and conjurers have a 1% chance of becoming specialists later in life. These abilities are often game-breaking and require strict conditions to function. First form, Chrollo. Lucilfer, the leader of the Phantom Troop, Chrollo, is the most dangerous specialist in the series. His ability is Skill Hunter. He can steal the Hatsu, ability of other Nen users, storing them in a conjured book called Bandit Secrets. The victim loses their ability forever. To steal a power, Chrollo must clear 4 high hurdles. He must see the ability, ask about it, and get an answer, make the victim touch his book, and do it all within 1 hour. Because of these strict conditions, the payoff is massive. He becomes a man with 1,000 weapons. In the manga's Battle to the Death against Hisoka, Chrollo reveals a new evolution, a bookmark. This allows him to use 2 stolen abilities simultaneously, or use 1 ability while keeping his hands free for martial arts. He combines an explodable puppet ability with a teleportation ability to overwhelm Hisoka, proving that a specialist with preparation time is nearly invincible. Second form, Kurapika, Emperor Time. We return to Kurapika. While he is naturally a conjurer, his physiology changes when his eyes turn scarlet due to intense emotion. In this state, he shifts his aura type to Specialization. This activates Emperor Time. Emperor Time solves the fundamental problem of the Nen chart. Normally, a conjurer can only learn enhancement techniques at 60% efficiency. Under Emperor Time, Kurapika can use every category at 100% efficiency and precision. This allows him to heal like a master enhancer or emit aura like a master emitter, while still using his chains. The cost is horrifying. For every second he stays in Emperor Time, 1 hour is shaved off his total lifespan. During the Succession War arc in the manga, he remains in this mode for hours, unknowingly sacrificing years of his life to protect his charges. 8th, Legacy and Aftermath. The Nen system changes the landscape of Hunter x Hunter from a simple adventure to a complex tactical simulation. The brilliance of the system lies in the vows and restrictions. Characters like Gon and Kurapika prove that a weaker fighter can defeat a godlike entity if they are willing to pay a steep enough price, be it their life, their future, or their sanity. The story arcs following the introduction of these types, specifically Yorknu and Chimera Ant, are defined by how characters exploit these rules. The ants, born with immense raw power, enhancement emission, are eventually defeated by humans using complex, rule-based abilities, radiation, board games, and bomb implants. The current manga arc continues this trend, introducing Nen beasts that operate on parasitic, complex rule sets that turn a political succession war into a silent slaughter. Nen remains the gold standard for power systems in fiction because it is fair. No type is superior. Only the user's creativity and resolve determine the victor.